Well, hello, and welcome everyone to our BG5 Live. Great to have each and every one of you here with us today. And today is December 14th. Can you believe it's already halfway through December? It is December 14th, 2021. This is episode 135, and today we're going to take a look at true traits today. So we're going to take a look at trait 26, which was last week, and we're going to also take a look at trait 11 in quality 1. So what we're going to be taking a look at today is selling good ideas. So that's what we'll be taking a look at today. Before we jump in and get started, let's say hello to our panel. And I first want to offer a very, very special welcome to Tuck. Thank you so much, Tuck, for joining us. Great to have you here.
You know what? I am excited to be here. And let me tell you why very quickly. I have the 11 in quality 1. I don't know why I'm pointing. My mother told me never to point. However, when I went to read the serendipity of being in the right place at the right time with people that share the same goals, voila.
Voila. Exactly.
So happy to be here.
Great. Excellent. Thank you, Tuck, and thank you for joining us. Linda is not joining us today. She had some family things to deal with, so sending her tons of love and support. And let's go to Anna. Hey, Anna, welcome.
Hello. Welcome, everyone. I'm glad to be here as well. Always a pleasure.
Yes, great. Great to have you, Anna. And let's go to Shelley. Hey, Shelley, welcome.
Hello, everyone. And I'm happy to be here too, and excited to see Tuck after lots of time and let her know I have 26. So we're going to have some fun selling some good ideas together.
I love it. Love it. Beautiful. Well, thank you for all of our panel, and thank you for everyone who is watching us live or watching us via the recording. And let's jump in. Now, if you are new to BG5 and you are wondering, what is trait 8 or what 8? What is, where did I get that from? Oh, I think Shelley and I were just talking about that earlier. Taking a look at trait 26 or trait 11, what does that mean? So if you're new to BG5, you can download a free personalized chart at bg5businessinstitute.com. Then you can take a look at your own chart. You can take a look at the numbers on either side here, and you can take a look at, do you have trait 26? I happen to have it twice. Do you have trait 11? I happen to have 11 twice as well. So this is a way that you can see if you have those traits. You can follow along and learn a little bit more about yourself as well. So wanted to let you know how you can find out more information if you are new. So we are now in December, and December is all about fixed patterns to sell and market ideas on loving, trusting, and accepting yourself, bringing forth a joyous vitality to fight for a purpose that is greater than yourself. So last week we took a look at fixed patterns. This is about waiting, right? The fundamental attunement to natural rhythms. This week, we're going to take a look at sales and marketing, which is in the 26. This is the strength and the will to support the tribe. So we'll talk about what that means today. We'll also be talking about ideas. This is about peace, and ideas captured over time are stimulation for reflection. So we'll be taking a look at that today. And as we continue to move through this month, we'll take a look at the behavior of self in the 10, vitality in the 58, and the fighter in the 38. And again, it's also interesting how it follows along with the behavior of self. Is when we're in the winter solstice. Vitality is during Christmas, this joyous vitality, and the fighter of the 38 is where we are when we enter into the new year. So just interesting observations. And once again, we are in this current environment of the 3420, of this strength of charisma, of this personal power and momentum and contemplation and the dogmatist. And again, we are going to be in this background for the rest of December. And we can see there's quite, if we just take a look at the chart here, we can see that there's quite a few activations going on today. So a lot of, you may feel a lot of pressure, a lot of mental pressure. You may feel emotional or melancholy. You may be looking at yourself in the now, taking a look at how you use your energy in the now, and taking a look at, what is that mental pressure to really tap into your own inner truth. So quite a bit there. I don't know if Shelley or Anna or Tuck, if there's anything that just stands out that you're like, oh, wow, that you would like to share. And if not, that's fine too.
I was talking with a couple of friends today about the economics in the US and the globe. And, with our Fed questions of monetary policy and inflation and all this stuff, there was a lot of expectation in several different kinds of markets that they were going to go up. And the folks that I listen to are just saying, be patient, be patient, be patient. Whereas the sort of the worries out there are creating a lot of impatience. So this personal power and momentum, I think, is fascinating right now, because, the power for growth is limited by impatience. And, when you have that expectation that the markets are going to be fine and think, we're going to grow and this and that, and then everything shuffles, people freak out. It's your money or your economy of your personal economy and your community economy and the global economy. It's also intertwined now. People are getting really emotionally carried away. So this contemplation, I think, is really, really important right now. The people that I've talked to are just, if they're just kind of hanging in, listening to themselves, being aware, not getting all into the FUD, F-U-D, fear, uncertainty, and doubt, that you can stabilize during a whole shifting platform right now.
Yeah, great insight, Anna. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Yeah, interesting times we are in, for sure. So in taking a look at that, let's now dive in, because we have a couple of traits to take a look at today. So let's first take a look at last week's theme. So last week's theme was all about sales and marketing. This is taming the power of the great. We can see that the 26 of sales and marketing is in the willpower function. And so it is, if you have trait 26, you are the natural salesperson with the strength and will to support the tribe. So one of the things about the 26 in its sales and marketing, it is very tribal, and it's selling the tribe on what it needs to survive moving forward into the future. It potentially is making people's lives better through the talent of being able to sell an idea, a product, or a service, right? If you think about it, oftentimes sales and marketing get a bad rap. However, if you go into a store and it's something that you really want to purchase and you're trying to make a decision, for example, let's say you were going to purchase a computer, you want to know what the benefits are. You want to know, what the features are. You want to know what the components are. You want to know, comparing them side by side, which is the best one to purchase for what your needs are. And part of the role of the salesperson is to listen to what the customer needs, what the customer wants, so that they can fulfill on and direct them, when operating correctly, direct them to the product or service or even the idea that's going to be the most beneficial. And this is the maximization of the power of memory. So this is one of the traits of memory. This is the maximization of the power of memory applied to nurturing continuity as well. So again, this is selling to the tribe. And again, if you sell something that's way out there, people don't get it. So there has to be some kind of continuity so that people can connect what you are offering, what you're selling with something that they already know. And this is also the taming of the power of the great. This is the egoist. Fools are liars and prophets too. So one of the things that we have to be careful of with the 26, and especially if you have the 26, is often you can promise things that you can't deliver on. And sometimes I have that problem myself as well, because I have these grand ideas and I see how they can benefit, but sometimes it takes a lot longer to actually put them together than I had originally planned. So one of the things that again, just to be aware of as well, it's probably why sales sometimes gets a bad rap, is making sure that you are fulfilling on the promises that you make. A strong ego that is able to withstand rejection, right? So again, if we're in sales and marketing, there's also a lot of rejection. You have to be able to accept the no's to get to those yeses. And so the 26 provides a strong ego, right? It's part of willpower, part of the ego that can withstand rejection. And it is also, it's a strength and a trait that is a projected trait. So it needs to be recognized and it needs to be invited. So waiting to be recognized and only making promises that you can keep allows you to maintain your influence over others. All right, so this is trait 26. I would love to hear from our panel what 26 is or how you see 26. And Shelley, I think you have the 26, correct?
Yes, I have the full strength actually. And I do recognize this, and it's funny because I was aware that trait 26 was at play in the last week, where I've been spending most of the week working with a team of salespeople and helping them look at their, finish up their year and look at what they're going to do next year. So a little bit of planning, but most of it was about what are our ideas for the future and where are we going with the company and how are we going to market and sell our products and services. So intense focus in this past week on that. And where just as you described some of those traits of knowing what people need and being able to really listen and hear what their needs are. And I find this is a creative strength too. So I find often when this feels the most satisfying for me is when I've been able to listen to 3 or 4 different viewpoints or opinions on how to go somewhere, and synthesize them together and get them all on the same page. It's that creative flow of being able to listen to what sound like disparate conversations that are in opposition to each other and finding the common ground and pulling them together so that we have this thing we can bring forward that will deliver a better product or service. So that's how it plays out for me. I've really come to appreciate and understand this about myself a little bit better after knowing this. So yeah.
And it's in your grounding as well.
Yes.
So one of the things that's interesting, Shelley and I were just talking about, one of the things we're looking at creating next year is talking about the secret relationships between traits and kind of the secret relationship between the 45 and the 26, right? Mm-hmm. This is your conscious core essence is the 45 and your grounding is the 26. So you can see that the 45 and the 26 have a really deep relationship with each other. And what's interesting, we take a look at this in OC16, is that oftentimes the individual that ends up being the head of the organization typically comes from the sales side of things. And we can see exactly why.
Wow, now that makes sense. And yes, I have been recognizing that, how much I really do ground myself with sales and marketing, when I'm feeling flustered or something's off, I always end up going back to, well, wait a minute, why are we doing this? What's the service we're providing? How are we actually delivering this to people? And how do I communicate that so that people can see that what we're doing is for the greater good, or for the whole tribe? So tying it in with the 45 there, that's cool.
Yeah.
And yeah, that seems to be the role that I'm playing in our family business. With my husband as the main financial planner, and we have a sales team. I've been coaching all of them to help sort of get us all on the same page and moving in the same direction. So it's very fascinating.
Yeah.
Through a
I
trial and
love how
error
it's
process.
right, exactly.
Yeah.
And I love how it's showing up, right?
Mhm.
How it's showing up in your family business. It's a
Mhm.
really great example of how this shows up and also how you use it as well in the business world.
Mhm.
Yeah. Thank you for
Exactly.
that, Shelley.
Thanks.
So how about for you, Tuck?
I do not have the 26. I do not have a defined willpower function. However, my best friend, as well as my daughter, are both 44 26s with that power of persuasion. And I am required, when it comes to my best friend, to be really grounded, because she could ask me to jump off the cliff and I would go, yes, let's go now. That's how persuasive she is. And it's fascinating. As I was listening to you all, my daughter, when she was little, people would say, I mean, they said, put a chastity belt on her. You need to put a leash on her, hold on to her. But she'll be one of those individuals that can sell ice cream to an Eskimo. I mean, they said this about her when she was 3. Yeah. She just called me last week and she sold me on buying her a Christmas present. She has this uncanny capacity to, Mom, how about you just, and I go, okay. And so how conditioned I am with 26s is quite interesting, and in reflection, I'm required to be really grounded in myself, or I will be pulled, sold, all the way. So yeah. Not the
I
least
love
bit
it.
emotional about it either, right?
Great example, Tuck. Thank you so much for sharing that. Beautiful. And Anna.
Well, I can relate to what Tuck just said. I'm the 44. So the 26 to me is an inconsistent awareness, let's say. I can tell when somebody's selling me something, and I love listening to how somebody sells something. I love advertisements, the structure of them. They're fascinating because they're stories. When we get to the 11, basically marketing is usually filled with some meaningful story connected to whatever you're trying to sell. So to me, I've gotten sold, a lot of times, but I also have learned to be brutally honest, and I can kind of burst the bubble sometimes on somebody's sales pitch, and that can go well or not depending on what it is. But I realize that that's something I need to stay connected with, is my 44 in the presence of the 26, because I'll get fascinated with, wow, how did they put that together? How did they connect that? How, with how they're using this trait. And if I'm not alert, then I'll kind of go, oh yeah, that sounds like a good idea. But it's not a good idea unless I check in. So it's been a very fascinating little journey to just sort of watch this 26.
Yeah, and that's exactly what the 26 can do what the 44 can do with the 26 is the 44 can, burst that bubble, if you will. It's sort of the cold to the 26 hot, if you will.
Right, break the spell.
Yes.
That's kind of, the imagery or the storyline or whatever. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Well, beautiful. Well, the 26 is also a trait that I have as well. I have it both in my communication as well as in my values as well. So I have it a couple times in my design. I've had sometimes and it's one of those things that it's also part of my profit potential as well. So this is one of the things that we take a look at the profit potential coaching certification is those traits in the undefined function, and 26 is one of them. And the 26 is also about, in a sense, being the best, and wanting to be the best. The 51s being the first, the 26s being the best. And so there's an element of that as well. So it always comes across, I think, a little bit in my communication. Not only that, I have the 1-8 as well, which is about inspiration, which is also about PR and marketing as well. So again, it's something that's ingrained in me as well, just like you were talking about, Shelley. Yeah, great examples. All right, so that was last week's theme. So I wanted to make sure that we got all caught up. Let's take a look at today's theme. So today we are in trait 11. So we just moved into trait 11 today. So we're in trait 11 in quality 1. And this is one who seeks stimulation. So this is a trait that's in conceptualization. This is a trait of the mind. This is the trait of ideas. So this is about ideas, concepts, and possibilities that you can conceptualize and ultimately share to stimulate others. It's the peaceful and quiet moments of assessment that are needed to sort out what you remember from the ups and downs of experience. So this is also one of the traits of memory as well. So assessment before renewed action. So ideas are captured over time. So this is part of the collective abstract experiential circuitry. So it's not something that happens in the moment, it's something that happens and unfolds over time. So again, ideas are captured over time. Now, this is also peace. And the key is waiting for the right timing to share your ideas. Just like we were talking about with the 26, it is a projected trait, meaning that it does need to be recognized and invited in order for it to work properly. So that is why waiting for the right timing to share your ideas is always key. And ideas become ideals, then beliefs, and finally, over time, a belief system. When we take a look at the strength of the 1156, the 56 is ultimately the voice of I believe. And so the ideas become ideals, then beliefs, and finally, over time, again, a belief system. And ideas are not prescriptions for action. Ideas come and go. Right. So one of the things about any of the mental traits, any of the mental strengths, they're not meant to take action, right? They are there for us to share ultimately what our wisdom is. So again, ideas are not prescriptions for actions, right? Ideas come and go. They operate sort of in that flow of the wave, right? They're connected ultimately through the circuitry to emotional intelligence. So again, the waves that kind of come and go and the ideas that come and go. So I would love to hear from our panel. Any ideas about ideas? And I know, Tuck, you were saying you have this in your design.
You're so clever. Clever ideas about ideas. This one's huge for me in that it's unconscious, and until I knew how it operated unconsciously, I took on a lot. I'm going to say I took on a good bit of guilt because I'm a possibility thinker. I'm an idea generator. I always look for, well, I don't always look for what's right, but people do call me Pollyanna, and I get excited and I want to share my ideas. And it really did annoy my older siblings a lot. And they would tell me to quit contemplating my navel, come down out of the clouds, all those type things. And what I know to be true, seeker was the word I used for myself for years. So when you speak to the, that desire to be stimulated and actually stimulate others, it's not a mental thing, even though I know it's a mental trait. It feels absolutely integrated, like exactly as who it is that I am in this world. And I totally get that it's unconscious because I have no sense of control over it. It's literally who I be. And then lastly, I will say one of the things I learned in learning more about trait 11 is that I found over the years that I would buy into belief systems, and I would go take people with me with that belief system. And then one day I said, you know what, Tuck, the 11 is the idea generator. You may change your belief, be very grounded, and be conscious of who you're pulling along with you, because you may change your belief, right over the edge. And so those have been some of the things that have shown up for me. I love my 11, and I love connecting with 56s.
Yes. And you have it as your unconscious core essence. So it's part of your life work theme as well. Just like we were taking a look at the 26 being part of Shelley's life work theme. This is also a part of your life work theme as well. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that, Tuck. Beautifully shared. How about for you, Shelley? How does the 11 show up for you, or how do you see the 11?
Well, I don't have it consistent in my design. I'm quite open in the upper part of my design, but I do recognize a lot of the things that Chuck described. I think I have the strength of imagination, which carries some similarities, and so was often seen as being up in the clouds. But I do have a son who's got the 11, and his wife has the 56, and the two of them together do wonderful things. They write stories and make movies and things. But him on his own with the 11 in an open center, but his communication is defined. What he was sharing with me in this last year was it's really challenging for him to get his idea into a form where he can properly communicate it, not having that connection with 56. And what helps him is talking it through with his wife, who does have the 56. And between the two of them, they put the story together and managed to get it clear. And he was able to, he's had some really big, great ideas all throughout his life. And he had a really great idea this year that, like you said, something or other about ideas come and go and waiting for the right timing. He's had this kind of persistent idea kept coming back to him all year. And it was also part of his annual cycle that I was sharing with you earlier. And he finally, just a couple of weeks ago, managed to get it into a form that I could actually understand what he was trying to relay. And it sparked off a whole new direction for our family business.
Wow.
So being able to wait for that right timing, wait for that incubation to happen until all the pieces are in place, and working with somebody through it to get it in a form that he could share it. And it's made a huge difference. We've now got this new vision that we're aiming for that encompasses a lot of his ideas. So that was a really fascinating thing for us to watch unfold just recently here. So
Yes. I can so relate to what you just shared, Shelley, as well. I do have the 11 and I have the 11 twice. And sometimes I feel like it's difficult for me to express what my ideas are and to have them land. And sometimes it does take a little bit of time. And again, waiting for the right timing for it to unfold, right? Because the ideas in and of itself does not mean you take action. Again, it has to wait for the right timing. And when the timing is right, it's like everything aligns and everything starts to click and everything starts to come together. And, in working with someone who has the 56, my husband has the 56, right? It helps solidify what those ideas are all about and how to communicate with them, right? And sometimes I have these ideas that are difficult to communicate, and it takes a while before I'm able to clearly communicate them, right? Shelley and I were talking right before this, and I think a lot of things started to come together in that way as well. Yeah, exactly. How about for you, Anna?
My daughter has the 1156. and she's brilliant. Just conceptually brilliant. She also has the 2034, so, and it's unconscious. So sometimes she gets roaring into action unconsciously, and then kind of forgets what she was doing, what the concept was, because some of her ideas are fleeting. And they're always really wonderful, but she has a knack. She likes older people, and they just start talking to her. She loves them, and she's been trying to figure out what to do with that talent. And because I have the 64-47, so I can kind of sense, and I can work parts together, and we talk about different parts of her life and this and that, and I can, this part where it's ideas become ideals, then beliefs, and finally belief systems. I've watched her sort of set a certain belief in place from her life experience, but it's not exactly true. Not all the parts are true, because life experience, you have to adapt your belief systems constantly, hopefully. So she's in this process. It's fascinating to watch, of exceptional intelligence, unconscious high drive, this 2034, and this kind of waiting for the timing of her ideas to come into place. And she's a fabulous writer and a beautiful artist, but everything hasn't quite formulated yet for her. And I keep trying to say, okay, it's all in the timing, just wait, because she's had more life experience in her time, and really bizarre experiences. I keep telling her, you should write, but she doesn't always know how to take the action, that connects those things. So she finally asked me, said, Mom, ask me questions. Just ask me questions. Because I have the 45, I can do the tribal, the tribe needs this, honey. The tribe, the world would eat this up, if you can find a way to put this story, the stimulation and the assimilation together. But it's coming, but it's fair. That's my relationship with the 11, is just watching how this works in someone close to me.
Yeah. And again, the timing, right? And, waiting for the right timing of the idea and allowing it and connecting with others to help solidify and be able to communicate those ideas as well. Exactly. So this is trait 11. Let's also take a look at how you're affected when you are connected. So taking a look at the shadow of trait 11, and also, if you don't have trait 11, how can that show up? So particularly if you have the 56, right? If you have the 56, but you don't have trait 11. So it's what we call a bridging trait. So the shadow of trait 11 is the lack of ideas for the stories that you tell. So the questions are, do you feel like you sometimes lack stimulating ideas? Or do you have stories that you want to tell, but you lack the ideas to bring the stories to life? So the problem is that you're constantly searching for new sources of stimulation and new ideas for stories to tell. And you may feel like you lack ideas that can garner together and teach the unique lessons of humanity's progress. The solution is that you're designed to work with others who can give you access to the ideas that can inspire your stimulating stories. So just like we were talking about, if you have the 11, but you don't have the 56, you're looking for a way to be able to communicate your ideas. right? On the other side, if you have the 56, you have the ability to communicate the ideas, but sometimes you don't have the ideas that you need in order to communicate. So again, it's a great partnership between the 11 and the 56 for the 11 to bring forth those ideas, and the 56 the ability to be able to tell the story or to communicate them. So I don't know, Shelley or Anna or Tuck, if there's anything that you would like to add about the shadow of trait 11.
Well, I have just a story, as I can see this again in my son and daughter-in-law. The daughter-in-law has the 56, and she is a wonderful storyteller, and everyone is encouraging her to write and write more stories. And she's actually taken time off work for the next year, and working on some of this. They did put a little movie together with each other. And I don't think they really realize that how much they need each other in order to do this process. Because what I hear from her is, yeah, but I can't write on demand. I have to wait until I'm inspired by something. And so for her, she's missing that connection to the ideas to get her going, that inspire her stimulating stories, that she's clearly said, I only want to entertain people, which is also part of her, the 56 is telling stories for entertaining and teaching, humanity's progress. So it's interesting to see that play out on both sides. And I haven't done their combined partnership for them yet. So this is just me observing.
Yeah, that's really fascinating and a really
Mhm.
great illustration of how that works. I know Linda, who's not here today, she has the 56, but not the 11. And I just know for myself, having the 11 and not the 56, Linda and I work really well together in brainstorming and putting together ideas, and her being able to share it as well. So, again, another great example. I don't know, Tuck or Anna, if there's anything else that you would like to add.
I'll just say one thing. That same best friend that I have, Simi, has the 56, not the 11. I have the 11, not the 56. And when we were on the RV tour together, what I experienced, and so did the people who were ultimately watching our YouTube videos, is that she would frequently give voice. Like her way of asking me questions was really powerful in how she would bring stuff out, but the way it balanced out the, I'm going to say, beautiful electromagnetic connection that we had. But I always felt comfortable with her in the beginning, and like she was giving me a space to give voice to what was, my epiphanies and my epiphagasms and my ideals and my, excitement and those kinds of things. So that's been a really nice connection with our 1156.
Yeah, great example, Tuck. I love it. Beautiful.
Well, like I said, I don't have 11 or 56, but I'm sort of more in the observant mode. I did have a client a while back who had the 1156, and she was very good, or it took her a while, but she was very good at providing a space for storytelling for this, like a small group of 11 or 12 people. And I could see the interaction, the necessary space for both the 11 and the 56 to interact. And that was, because I had done some career work with her, how to profit from this thing. And she's now settled into this little format of just having sort of a story session where people can use these two things. I thought that was fascinating. So I'm still studying this. I'm still learning from this.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that, Anna. Yeah, and with all of these traits, especially the ones that you don't have, sometimes they can be a little elusive. So having illustrations of where it shows up with family members or other people can really help you understand those traits at a deeper level. Well, let's take a look. We are currently in quality 1. So let's take a look at today's quality. So again, we are in trait 11 of ideas, and quality 1 is about attunement. This is whenever we take a look at quality 1, this is the authority. This is the serendipity of being at the right place at the right time, just like Tuck was saying earlier. So the elevation is the gift of finding those that will value your ideas. This is the nourishment derived from being with those that share the same goals and the same aspirations. The challenge is the sense that no one will value your ideas and this fear of anonymity. So I actually do have trait 11 in quality 1. So I'm familiar with this. And this is, I think, one of the things that has happened throughout my life is this serendipity of being at the right place at the right time. I mean, in the role that I have in the BG5 Business Institute, it just happened to be at the right place at the right time. Every job that I've ever had has always been being at the right place at the right time. Even my first job out of college, my roommate had moved to Los Angeles, and she called me up and she said, "Karen, what do you think about moving to LA?" And I said, okay. I packed up, I moved to LA. I got there on a Thursday, and I was planning on getting together with a friend on Sunday to have lunch and then figure out where I was going to get a job. He worked at ABC Television, and he said, and we had planned to get together on a Sunday. And he called me that Sunday morning. He said, "Oh, I didn't expect to have to work, but I have to work. What do you think about coming in and helping us?" Because they were physically moving the location of the on-air promotion department, and they needed help just moving things into the office so they could get started on Monday morning. So I'm like, sure. So I came in, I helped them move, get all settled in. On Monday, I came in order to fill out the paperwork to get paid, and they offered me a part-time job. So the serendipity of being at the right place at the right time. So I love this trait. And again, I can deeply, deeply relate with it. Beautiful. Anything, Shelley or Anna or Tuck, that you would like to add about being at the right place at the right time?
This reminds me of, oh gosh, I can't remember the movie. It just floated away. Very famous movie, Sally Field and sorry, just brain bleep here. But anyway, Forrest Gump. He, he sort of always lands in these pivotal moments in that story. And to me, it reminds me of this.
Yeah, exactly. Anything, Tuck or Shelley, that you would like to add?
The only thing I have to add, you can't see my pointer, but I'm looking at all these hands, that are all on top of one another. One of the ways that I experience myself is, and it's not so much the serendipity of the right time and right place, maybe it is, and it's more so the word nourishment of being around like-minded people. Like I feel it in my body. Like I get so excited when there's energy like today to engage with. That's how it feels in terms of the attunement and being with right people, right place, right time. I'll say it that way. Yeah.
Love it. Thank you, Tuck. All right. So that is quality 1. The last piece we'll take a look at today is a celebrity. So Tim Conway, if you're familiar with him, he's an actor, comedian, writer, director. His life work theme is experience. So you have a philosophical orientation to educate others about the nature of experience and emotions on this plane, perhaps through music or poetry, and how he did it is through comedy. One of the things I like best about Tim Conway, it says it here that he was admired for his ability to depart from the scripts with humorous ad libs and gestures, which frequently caused others in the skit to break character, attempting to control their surprise and their laughter. And it's one of the things that I really loved about Tim Conway. And again, that really speaks to this part of the nature of experience and emotions on this plane, and really educating others about that nature, just through his comedy and through departing from the script and from his humorous ad libs that in a sense caught people off guard. So I love that. I don't know if Shelley or Anna or Tak, if there's anything that you would like to add.
It's so interesting. He's one of my favorite comedians of all time, and I remember watching him a lot when I was younger. And when you think about the time frame he was in when he was on stage doing this, it was at a time when everything was very scripted and everything was very, follow things along. And he was one of the first ones to start breaking away from that and just ad-libbing. And now we have whole realms of comedy and the Saturday Night Live, and it's kind of sparked a whole revolution in the way comedy unfolded. And so I think he was in the right time at the right place to kind of bring that forward in this lifetime. He broke the tension that a lot of people were feeling, trying to keep everything so guarded and so scripted. He kind of let the air out of the tires on that one, and had everybody just so caught off guard you couldn't not laugh. It was just so fun to watch.
Exactly. Again, a beautiful representation of what this life work theme is all about.
And I just want to add that his timing in his delivery was perfect. I mean, he just had that ability to be at the right moment to say or do something, and that's what made it work. Was he was in the right time, the right place in his comedy. It was great.
Yep, exactly.
I have to. This is not about Tim. This is about Tak. It's fascinating. As I'm reading this, when I was in a class one day, there was an individual that was reading people. Like, she went around the room and she read people, right? Knowing that I have the 11 sitting in my unconscious core essence, she said, Tak, you would be that person that would break from the script at a funeral. Even though everybody's there mourning, you would be the one that would come in and break the script and have everybody laughing uncontrollably. So that was fascinating to read that. Thank you for sharing, Karen.
Love that. I love that. Thank you, Tak. All right. Well, we're going to wrap up here in just a moment. Before we do that, I would love to have our panel start to contemplate what are things that people should pay attention to or be aware of in this next week. So again, if you are new to BG5, you can download your chart just like we talked about at the very beginning. You can also subscribe to the Trait of the Day by visiting our website, going to bg5businessinstitute.com/BG5live. You can get an email each day, which tells you what the trait of the day is, as well as the quality of the day. And this is quite helpful in realizing sometimes you're like, oh my goodness, what's going on? You read the trait of the day and you go, oh, okay, now it all makes sense. You can also watch our past episodes. Both in our free resource library, also on YouTube as well. And again, we have classes starting in January. January is right around the corner. We're right in the middle of December. Tak's going to be teaching the BG5 certification course. So excited for her to take on and teach the certification. We have Banu, who's teaching the BG5 foundation course. We have Natalie, who's teaching the OC16 certification course. And again, we have ongoing classes and courses. We're going to have a lot of actually new programs coming up here shortly as well that we're going to be announcing soon. So I'm very, very excited for, and we'll give you more information as we go along. All right, let's wrap up today. And what I would love to hear from each of our panel is being in trait 11 for this week. What are things that people should be aware of or pay attention to? Would you like to start, Anna?
I would just suggest listening. If you're defined, listen to your own stories, what things are going on, the ideas that are moving around in your head, and you're not obligated to act on them. Just be aware of, maybe you can use them, maybe somebody else can use them, whatever. Just let them roll. If you're undefined in that area, you might kind of watch the news or a Twitter feed or the people around you, because possibilities are going to present themselves. Ideas are going to present themselves. They might be useful to you personally, or you might see something get started and by the end of next year, something's happening, or in a couple of years, that idea has come to some fruition. I would just observe how the 11 is working, presenting itself.
Yes. Nicely shared, Anna, and a great thing to pay attention to. Let's go to Shelley.
Oh, wow. Thanks, Anna. I was just, what jumps out to me is the part about, maybe noticing not only the ideas that are flowing through and around you, but noticing when it's time for you to maybe break free from the script, and how to fine tune and really pay attention to the timing. Because when we talked about Tim Conway and his impeccable timing was being just right, feeling into that place where you're riding the wave and noticing when the timing is right to maybe break from the script and do something different or fun, or that cracks everyone up, that shifts the energy, that changes things, that brings in a new perspective maybe, and playing with the ideas that are out and about and around you.
Beautiful.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
comes to me.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Shelley. Beautifully shared. And Tak, again, thank you so much for jumping in and joining us today.
Jumped in. You're so welcome. It's a pleasure to be here. It's quite stimulating. Thank you. I have this vision of this little stick person. I don't know if y'all seen it, where there's a fountain coming out of the head. Like, that's what this reminds me of. The first thing that came to me when you asked the question was prepare to be stimulated and enjoy the flow, like of the 11. But what I've discovered is having the 11 that people may want to keep in mind, on heart, is not to get attached. I have gotten really, really, really attached when I'm sharing ideas and when they come to me and I'm so stimulated by it. And then my bubble gets burst and I'll go into my frustration when it's not readily embraced. And so to get that it really is a beautiful opportunity to let the ideas flow and to experience what that feels like, because it actually feels quite empowering. So yeah.
Yeah, I love that, Tak. Yeah, so let those ideas flow. Take a look at where you can break the script. Take a look at, what ideas are there, but again, not necessarily acting on them, right? It's allowing that flow of ideas to open up and, to be able to see what's there, to be able to see what new possibilities there might be in store. All right, everyone, it has been our absolute pleasure. Thank you to each and every one of our panel, and thank you for all of you attending live and all of you that are listening via the recording. And we look forward to seeing you all next week. All right, everyone, thanks so much. Bye-bye.